Do you ever receive comments or questions that push your buttons? Maybe you get a little triggered or ruffled, or your chain gets a little rattled when certain people, or maybe people you don't even know, say certain things to you or ask you questions. Like, mind your own business, right? Welcome. I'm Tracy Hensel. I'm a certified professional coach and ICF credential holder. I help my clients in all areas of life. Every single topic you can imagine is what life coaches work with their clients on. And this one comes up quite frequently in coaching. So what a great topic, because we all have been on the receiving end of comments or questions that rub us the wrong way, right? Push our buttons. We also may have been guilty of doing them as well. So that is our topic for today. So sit back, it's going to be a good one. I'm going to read a few comments and questions. Now, not all of these have I heard personally, but I know people that have. And I'm sure as I'm sharing today, there's going to be little things that come up in your mind of questions or comments that you have been presented with. So feel free to share what they are in the comment section. I think we will get a kick out of it. It's also an opportunity for some people that have a tendency to put their foot in their mouth to maybe see a comment or question that maybe they are guilty of. So feel free to use the comment section below. So here's just a few, and some of them, oh, I've heard, Paul and I have definitely heard. Trying for a boy? You know we have 5 girls. Trying for a boy? You know there's a way to fix that. You know, we had a large family, lots of kids. You know there's a way to fix that. When are you going to settle down and get married? I didn't hear that one, but many people have. When do you plan to have kids? Do you plan to have kids? When are you going to start a family? Or when are you going to have more kids? Or are you going to have more kids? You're too thin. You need to put some weight on. Or this one, you need to put some meat on your bones. Oh my gosh, all those girls? There must be so much drama. I like your hair better that color. You look like you're having twins, or wow, you're about to pop. It must be nice to be able to eat that and stay slim. Or you're gonna eat that? Ew, You look tired. You look tired. Can you imagine? Yes, it happens. Or you look troubled, right? Or I can tell you're troubled by something. Or is something going on in your life? You look troubled. You look tired. So those are just a few that came up for me this morning when I was getting ready. And we're going to talk about 3 things when it comes to people making comments or asking questions. The first one is, if you are someone who is kind of easygoing and lighthearted, and you like to talk a little smack and you have a little sarcasm, and you are someone who likes to joke around, and the people in your inner circle read that from you, they probably operate the same way, and that's not necessarily a negative. Because if you're someone who likes to crack jokes in the right environment with the right people, I think that could be a real positive, that you are viewed as someone who likes to have fun, and we do a little smack talk. I think about my husband and his 3 brothers and some of the things that they say to one another. It can come off quite offensive, but it's not offensive at all. They just like to talk a little smack. And we actually do that a little bit, even the ladies, the wives, with them. So we know who we can get away with that and who it's appropriate with and how far to take it. So there's something to say about your inner circle, and I actually find it to be a positive that some of the people in my inner circle, we can talk some sarcasm and some joking, and we don't have to worry about anyone taking it personally because we've read each other. So when I talk about believe people when they show you who they are, I like the fact that people have believed me and they know, Tracy likes to have fun and she can joke and talk sarcasm. Now, there's always a time or a place, and that is when it's appropriate. But there's many times when it's not appropriate, and we really have two different situations. The first one is people that we really don't know on a deep level that just say things to us. It just comes out of nowhere. And while it may be inappropriate, you have to ask yourself, when someone says something that pushes your buttons, and this is a person that you really hardly know or you only know surface level, do they mean ill intent? Are they truly being rude? I always look at rude as someone deliberately doing something where they are conscious and aware that what they are doing is intended to be rude. There's a lot of people that view something rude, and while yes, the behavior could be viewed as rude, if that person meant well or just simply didn't know, maybe they didn't know that what they were saying could come off offensive, or push someone's buttons, or be sensitive for someone, they're coming from an innocent place, and I personally don't hold that against them. And I really want to encourage you to really think about what the person said, where it could be coming from, and if it's really worth letting it settle in. It's okay to feel what you feel in the moment because you really can't control that. But to come back with some type of rebuttal really isn't necessary. Just ask yourself, first of all, this person may not know any better. There's a lot of generations that they spit out whatever comes to their mind, and I do fall a little bit in that generation. Not as much as the generations above me, but one thing I have found in life is the older the person, the more they tend to just blurt out anything that comes to their mind. Well, most often they're not coming from a bad place. They don't mean any harm whatsoever. They're just programmed and conditioned, and it's become very habitual for them. That's what they heard in their home. That's what they heard growing up, and they just continue to do it. And I catch myself at times, even in conversation with my daughters, where hopefully I catch it before it comes out, but it may be coming from a place that's more out of habit instead of being conscious and aware. So also be very conscious and aware what you say to people. Also, a lot of people have a nervousness, especially around people that they don't know very well. And awkward silence makes them very uncomfortable. You will find sometimes the people that just blurt it out and say things that could be quite insensitive, and again, they don't mean harm. It's because they can't sit there with silence. They feel very uncomfortable and they have a nervousness about them, so they just say anything. Really identify where the comment or the question is coming from, and you have to decide how much you want to let it sink in. To me, I'm not going to place any value on someone I hardly know when they say something that just absolutely is stupid, none of their business, insensitive, or anything else. It's just not going to scratch the surface. Now let's dive into the last person, and this is the one that's much harder and a lot of you are going to be able to relate to. And that's when someone deliberately goes out of their way to say something little. So these are the little jabs, the little digs to see if they can push your button. I like to say it's to see if they can get a rise out of you. Well, understand if their attempt and their agenda is to get a rise out of you and they get that rise, they win that rise, they won, and that's how they see it. If you rise above and you don't give in to what they're really going after, you don't give them the rise they're looking for, then you can celebrate your win for that. But yeah, there are certain people in our lives, and you could potentially know a person or more than one person who deliberately says little things even if they're indirectly. And you know they're saying it purposely. They have an agenda. And that's when our buttons really get pushed and we get triggered and our feathers get ruffled and our chains get rattled. But do they have to, right? Do they have to? Understand that those people almost always have something going on with them. There's something in their world, and often there's a lot of insecurity. They don't see their worth, they don't see their value, they truly don't like themselves, which is quite unfortunate. And they don't feel liked and loved by others. Sometimes it could be coming from a place to get attention. So you could even be dealing with someone who's quite lonely or just requires attention. They're crying out for attention and they will say things to get that attention. So again, there's an agenda behind it, and if they get your attention, they are going to celebrate the win. If you rise above and hold yourself composed and polished and in a classy way, then they won't be able to assure a win. You're going to celebrate your win. We also know that jealousy and competitiveness can be a real struggle for some people. And a lot of times that will show up with those little digs and those little comments that aren't quite direct on the topic, but they get their point across, and it's easy to take offense. And again, that's where you have to sit back and you have to say, what could be going on with this person that they have a need to say that? Maybe they're jealous. Maybe they're jealous of your life. Maybe they're jealous of you crushing your goals. Maybe they're jealous of what you have, because these people come from a place, if you're winning, they're losing. If you're smart, they're not smart. If you're in shape, they're not in shape. If you have a great husband, they don't have a great husband. We can't all be winning. Competitive and jealous people always have a high amount of low self-esteem, and they wear it on their sleeve, usually by the comments they make or the questions that they throw your way to try to trip you up, right? To assure a win, to get you ruffled, to push your buttons, to get a rise out of you so they can assure a win, because we both can't be winning. We both can't be succeeding. If you're succeeding, I'm failing. So if I can make you look bad, I look good, right? That's how they always show up. So you really have to identify what is the person's agenda. And as you get more and more skilled by exercising the muscle, if you work with me, we talk all the time about exercising our muscles to get better and better and better. And actually, I encourage my clients to not be so resistant to difficult people, to almost welcome it, because we don't grow when we're not learning something new. So every time someone pushes your buttons, it's okay to acknowledge and validate your feelings and how you felt. We don't want to dismiss that. But how far are you going to let it go? Is it going to scratch the surface? Is it going to make a cut? What is it going to do for you? And if you want to get better and stronger at not letting comments and questions, especially from those that have a motive and agenda behind it, to penetrate and do more than scratch the surface or even scratch it at all, you have to get experience with it. Especially the people that do it often and often, over and over. You won't even bat a lash because you're so used to it, and you also know it's not even worth coming back and saying anything. It doesn't mean you're a doormat. They want to assure the win, so they want to get the rise out of you. Remember this: no reply is a reply. And often with those that dish it out over and over, and I'm very fortunate that I don't have a lot of it, but I'm not going to say I'm free from it. And it typically is the same person, and I already know their agenda. It has nothing to do with me. But no reply is a reply. So no rise is going to come out of me, even if in the moment I feel it, I identify it. I identify it, I acknowledge and validate what I'm feeling. I ask myself why, because there's a big answer when you start to uncover why something hit you the way that it did. You can learn a lot by yourself in the why. Why does this affect me? And in coaching, that's what we do. I'll share a story with you that one of my clients shared with me. My client happens to be someone, she does work outside of the home. She has a professional job where you somewhat dress up. We know that the professional industries have scaled back on being dressed up. And she has shared that she still tries to comply to how they always dress because it really is proper to dress up. I mean, it really is at the end of the day, but people have gone a little bit more casual. That's not really where I'm going though. It's what she does outside of work. So outside of work, she is someone who likes to dress well. She does her hair, she does her makeup. She is someone who gets her nails done. She keeps up with her beauty maintenance. And she has shared, when I go places, I can tell that people look at me in a way like, wow, like, because I am really put together. And I can read from other people that when they look at me, they're looking at me in a positive way because I'm so put together. And yeah, maybe sometimes I'm a little dressier than the average, but I'm just staying true to who I am. I could relate to that, absolutely. I like to get gussied up if I'm going out and dress appropriately, but I would say that, yeah, you are going to get looked at even by other women because it's nice to look at a person who is really well put together. She has a friend that's been in her life pretty much her whole adult life, and this client is a couple years older than me, so mid-50s, and the friend, whenever they see one another, the friend just always has to say, yeah, I'm just so thankful that, I'm not a person that has to be all dolled up to feel good about myself. I'm so thankful I'm like that. And she'll even say, and my husband, he's so thankful that I'm not that type of wife where I've always got to be so put together. And they're not even really talking about that. Well, my client shared, I know she's trying to get a dig at me, but she's like, why? Why is she doing that? We talked about it. I am sure her friend carries a lot of low self-esteem and lacks confidence. She wouldn't say this if she was a confident, bold person, because confident, bold people don't need to compare themselves. She's comparing herself. It's clear. And she can't win, she can't succeed, she can't look good if you're looking good. So I'm gonna make you look bad indirectly, not directly, but indirectly, say something that's going to damper you so now I look good. And it's unfortunate that this happens, but this is exactly a perfect example of that just little things that people say that push our buttons. My question for my client is, first of all, we already know that, yeah, that would probably not settle well, right? But we don't have that person to ask why she's doing that. Would love to coach her, would love to help her to raise her confidence. But it's how is my client going to handle herself? And all because if this friend knows she got a rise, she may celebrate that win. So it's not letting her know she got a rise out of you. It's a perfect example of changing the subject as if you didn't hear. And that's what I do with a particular people that say things to me that I can tell there's an agenda behind it. I often just act as if I didn't hear them and I go on with a different subject. And that's what my client can choose to do. But you also always want to say, why does this bother me so much? And if it simply is, she's my friend. To say something that's almost insulting to me, it hurts me. But sometimes what the person comments or what the question is goes deeper, and that's when you want to identify, why am I so sensitive to this? It could be something that's harboring from your past. If you have a sensitivity from your upbringing, maybe Maybe you were extremely thin and you were picked on as a child, and now you're still extremely thin, and people say stuff to you about putting some meat on your bones, right? This could be very sensitive for you because it brings up old wounds and scars from your past, and that would explain it. That would explain it. So there's usually an explanation for the things that really break through the surface. I hope today's message really hit home, because we all are going to be in positions in our life where people are just going to say things. In all seasons of life, you're going to get it, but it's really identifying where it's coming from. Is it that first one where this is my circle, this is my crowd, and we're just letting our hair down and having a good time? Who cares, right? We know it's in joking. Or is it someone who they really don't matter in my life? I barely know this person. Why should I care? And they may not know any better, and they probably don't mean any harm. Most often that person, because they don't know you and they're not trying to push your buttons deliberately, while they may come off rude, they're innocent. They don't mean harm. In fact, sometimes what they say, they may think they're telling you something positive or helping you. I've shared before that my husband sometimes will hear from a loved one, he looks tired, and it drives him crazy. And I've shared with him, I don't really think the person is trying to be rude, although it comes off that way. It's the fact that this person just may have a hard time seeing you get older, right? We really don't know, but it's not coming from a ill intent place, and it's getting comfortable with that. Again, if you're dealing with a third type and the person is going out of their way to push your buttons to assure a win, to get a rise and assure that win, pick up on what their agenda is, and it will help you to exercise that muscle so that you're no longer as affected, or your buttons are no longer pushed to the capacity that they once were, and welcome it. Other people are our best teachers. We can learn so much by what other people do. I always say, oh, what can I learn from this? Yeah, I can learn to never do that to someone else, to never say that to someone else, or treat someone else that way. So, big topic, great topic. Would love, as always, for you to weigh in, share some of the comments and questions you've been presented with, but thanks for being here for this big, big topic. Take care.